This week, City Council has started their budget deliberations, and for the new councillors, all 8 of them, if they didn't know before, they certainly know now how difficult and how overwhelming this job can be. City Council is the level of government that is closest to its constituents, and that's largely because city councillors deal with a lot of everyday issues, from transit and waste services to roads and recreation, things that affect people on a day-to-day basis. And because of that, they get a large volume of complaints and inquiries. There's a lot to read. There's a lot of urgent issues to deal with. And this is part of the reason, I think, why we've seen from councillors in recent years some concerns around burnout, and why some councillors have decided to hang it up after a couple of terms, because it just is a real drain to stay up with that workload. And so my thought was, maybe it's become time to consider adding to city councillor, maybe going to 14 councillors like Calgary has. And in part, this is because the projections suggest that each of the city's 12 wards right now is soon going to surpass 100,000 people each. And that's just a lot of people to deal with. That's a lot of community leagues to keep up with, a lot of developments and developers to meet with, a lot of events to go to. It's daunting for one person to do that. And it should be noted that City Hall, when it was designed, this scenario was contemplated. There is a second wing on the councillors' offices that is unfurnished. It needs an elevator, it needs some renovations, but that space is there because the original designers of City Hall contemplated that an increase in city council would probably be needed someday. However, there is a cost to a bigger city council. Right now, council meetings can be a little chaotic, a little dysfunctional. Each of the councillors and the mayor have 5 minutes each to ask questions during public hearings and during debates. And there are often multiple rounds of questions. They have 5 minutes to speak to each vote, should they wish. They can make council inquiries and motions, which often cause work for city administration. And so if you were to add 2 or 4 more councillors to that mix, that level of work for a city administration, that level of chaos in the meetings only increases. And so you might gain in terms of representative democracy, in terms of giving councillors a little smaller area to deal with, and perhaps make them a bit more accountable. But you could sacrifice the functionality of City Hall meetings itself. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. And actually, there might be a better solution than adding more councillors. And in talking to some former councillors, they recommend not adding to council, but actually adding to councillors' office staff. Right now, councillors can hire about 2 staff. And they say if you could potentially double that, that extra staff could take care of a lot of the calls that come in. They could help do research. They could better prepare and brief the councillors so that the councillors themselves aren't so responsible for doing all the reading and all the preparation themselves, and it makes them more effective in the meetings. Something to consider. At some point, though, I think the status quo just doesn't work anymore. Thanks for listening. I'm Keith Gerein at the Edmonton Journal. Please check edmontonjournal.com for my columns and for more coverage of municipal politics. Thanks so much.